our network monitoring solution is insufficient. What you see before you is a GNS3, a simulator for Cisco routers. And this is not completely unlike what we see. We see a number of nodes. I've hidden the labels, but we would see their names, and we would see some kind of stoplight status of their reachability. In fact, this diagram actually shows more information than what we typically view because it has some IP addressing information. I believe that the IP address is, what networks are available on the network. That's what we really care about. Having this kind of network diagram that's live is cool, but it requires a great deal of static configuration. You have to know what routers are there, and you have to know what you care about. I'm not saying that that doesn't have its place, but what we really, really care about is whether things are reachable at all or not. And there's already a place to find this information. That's the routing table. Of course, nobody wants to show IP route all day, every day, and even if they wanted to, it would be useless because there are thousands of routes in there. In the diagram you see in front of you, all of these supernets are subnetted. I believe that we should have a way to monitor the routing table directly. Now, we could go into EIGRP or OSPF and implement those, but those are very difficult, very complicated protocols. BGP is a lot easier. BGP, you set up a peer, it's TCP, it's pretty lightweight, the message format is pretty simple. There's an even simpler one. RIP. I know everybody hates on RIP, but it's actually a beautiful and elegant protocol that works very well. And this RIP entry gives us all the information that gives us enough information to know if there's a problem. So I've written a program to do this. This program, wow, that was unusually fast. Normally it takes a couple more seconds because, RIP up sends its routing table every 30 seconds. Here we have all of those supernets entered and visualized in a grid. The color code is, if an IP address does not exist in the routing table, it's black. If it has been learned recently, then we color it blue. And if it's been removed, if it's been poisoned, then we color it red. And otherwise, a stale IP address that's been in the routing table for a while is colored black. Okay, so you see, I've got some event applets running to make this more interesting. Here, 10 network and 172.16/16 network. Those are pretty noisy networks that we've got. Let me describe a couple of user stories for this application. Number one, you'll notice the red up there on 192.168. What is that? And you notice that it changed. All of these are about to turn white because the timers, they turn white after 30 seconds. But that one up there is going to turn red and then it's going to turn blue again. And that's because it's a flapping link. I've got an event manager that's no shutting in one of those serial interfaces between routers. This is useful information. This tells us if there's a problem. We had this recently where there was a flapping link between us and one of our customers. And it would have been very difficult for us to know this until the customer complained. Now another one, it's going to take a minute, but 10.128 is going to completely disappear. All those routes are going to turn red. And that's because I've got another event where it completely isolates that site. Yet again, this has happened for real. We have lost entire sites, huge sites, and we didn't know the difference because our network monitoring solution was watching the underlay network and wasn't watching the operational network that we actually care about. And finally, I'll demonstrate one more user story for this software, but this is a little more interesting. Let me go in here, and I'm going to configure auto summary on this router. We probably all know from our CCNA days that auto summary is it's a very dangerous statement. And what we'll see, it may take a minute. Pretty sure I did it in the right place. What we'll see is that entire 172.31 will turn red because previously we didn't have a lot of discrete routes, but we'll abruptly learn the supernet. Oh, there it went. And I've looked at the wrong one. Oh, so it looks like we summarized even more than I thought we did. So this is bad. This is something that we don't expect. We don't expect to have these huge supernets in there. So that's the third user story. This is written in Java. Does not require privileged access. I'm told by two different people, both of whom I respect, that Java applets do not require certification and accreditation, so yay. I know that there are those that are trying to consolidate the number of tools, so maybe this is something to keep quiet, but I really believe that this is something that we can use to increase our situational awareness on what's going on in our networks today. And yeah.